Once upon a time, there lived a kingdom called the Akuku Kingdom. The Akuku people had a very serious problem. Every night, their homes were attacked by thieves. Sometimes the thieves would kill, or other times they only take valuable items and leave. The whole kingdom was plagued with this problem, and the king and his cabinet members were always looking for a solution. The Onuhu of the kingdom told the king that it is possible that the people attacking the village were foreigners. They may not even actually be from their village. But the Akuku kingdom was a very powerful kingdom. Which of these kingdoms will have the guts to attack them at night? This troubled the king and his people a lot. Now one day, there was a man named Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi was at home with his wife and 2 children when the men of the night attacked them. They took their valuables and were about to leave. But Ifeanyi, being angry and frustrated at this event, stood up, took his arrow and began to strike. His arrow hit one of the men as they were running. But the man didn't stop. They all ran and ran into the forest. In fear, some of them had dropped the valuable items. Some ran with them. But the one that was struck in an arrow ran into the forest and couldn't run anymore. He collapsed and fainted. The next morning, Trama was on her way to fetch water when she came upon what looked like a man that was bleeding to death. An arrow was on his side, but for whatever reason, she did not raise alarm. She pulled and carried him to a small hut deep in the forest. She knew the hut was there, hidden. Not many people knew about it. Her grandmother had shown her the hut when her grandmother was alive. And there she kept the man and treated him. And the man, who was almost bleeding to death, was saved and was coming back to life. When the man stood up, he told Chioma that his name was Anozie. Anozie remembered who he was. He was one of the men that attacked the homes at night. Him and his gang members were thieves, murderers, rapists. But this last operation opened his eyes and told him that he could die at any moment. Because of this, Anozie began to have a change of heart. But he did not tell all this to Chioma. He was just grateful to her. He told her that he was hunted, and maybe another hunter had struck him by mistake, thinking he was an animal. Chioma believed him. Because Anozie was too weak, Chioma had to take care of him. She brought food for him, water, clothes. Gradually, Anozie began to get better, and gradually, Anozie began to fall in love with Chioma. Chioma was a very kind person. She looked like someone from a wealthy home, but she was very humble. They talked and spent time together, and gradually too, Chioma began to fall in love with Anozie. She told her mother that she had fallen in love with a man, but the man did not have much. She was from a wealthy home, and she believed that her father would want her to marry a man from a wealthy home. But her mother did not care. Her mother told her that all that's important, Chioma, is that he loves and respects you. Money will come. What is important is that he shows you respect. Bring him, let me see him. So Chioma took Anozie to meet her mother. Her mother liked Anozie. Anozie seemed to be a responsible man, a respectful person. Anozie told Chioma's mother that indeed he wanted to marry Chioma, but he didn't have much. He was recently attacked and he's still recovering. He was a hunter, but now he wants to start farming. He wanted to be a farmer. She told Chioma's mother to give him 6 months. In that time, he will establish his farm and then have something to present. And so it was. Anozie went back to his house and started his own farm. It was not easy at first. He had to farm in other people's farmlands and raise money for himself to buy his own land. But eventually he succeeded. And eventually he owned his own farmland. Harvest was very, very good. Now he had money to pay for Chioma's bride price. And at this time, he requested to meet Chioma's father. Now, before now, Anozie did not know who Chioma's father was. He only knew of her mother. And he knew they were from a wealthy family. So a day was set for Anozie to meet Chioma's father. When Anozie came to Chioma's house to see her father, that was when he realized that Chioma's father was the Onuhu of the kingdom. Anozie knelt down and greeted him as tradition demanded and told him that he wanted to marry Chioma, his daughter. The Onuhu was angry. How dare you? Do you think I do not know who you are? Get out of here. Anozie left. Chioma and her mother were surprised. What is the problem? Don't you want your daughter to marry? His wife said. Yes, my daughter will marry, but not this man. She can marry any other man, but not this one. But Papa, what's the problem with Anozie? Anozie is a good farmer. He's a decent man. I know he doesn't have much, but he's very hardworking. Hardworking indeed. That night, the Onuhu went to Anozie's house. What are you doing with my daughter? He asked him. What are you doing? Anozie told the Onuhu that he had changed. He was a changed man. For you see, it was the Onuhu that was the godfather of the men of the night. He was the one that gave them the information of whose house to attack and what valuable items to steal. So, the Onuhu used to be Anozie's boss, telling him where, when, and how he should attack. So all the Onuhu knew was that Anozie was a thief, a murderer, a rapist. But Anozie told him that he had changed and left that life. He was no longer in contact with the men of the night. He was now a decent, hard-working farmer. But the Onuhu did not believe this. Stay away from my daughter, he said. Otherwise, I will kill you. But the problem was Chioma did not want to stay away from Anozie. Chioma was so in love with him. And her mother begged the Onuhu to leave Anozie alone. Otherwise, they will lose their only daughter, Chioma. So the Onuhu agreed. He agreed that Chioma and Anozie could get married. But the day of the wedding, when Chioma, as tradition, was about to give her husband a drink, a snake jumped out of the drink as Anozie was about to drink it. He screamed and pushed it away, and then the snake disappeared. Now, the chief priest that was officiating the wedding saw this and shouted that someone just tried to poison Anozie. At first, the first suspect was Chioma, but Chioma screamed and said she was innocent. How will she hurt the man that she loved? So the chief priest took a part of the broken cup and told everyone to hold the cup. The person who poisoned Anozie will run mad and confess. Everyone did as the chief priest said, except the Onuhu. Now, the king told Onuhu to hold the piece of the cup. But the Onuhu refused, but the chief priest insisted. And immediately the Onuhu held the piece of the cup. He ran mad and began to confess. He said he was the one who attacked everyone in the village. He was the one that sent the men who attacked the various homes and made away with the valuable items. Because of his greed, he wanted more money. Immediately the Onuhu confessed, he fell down and died.
Asinanya na free.